Hello, my name is Ethan and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Metamorph League. In this episode, I want to go over a non-Baron block version of the Necro that is actually a Spectre build. Enjoy the build concept. So real quick, before I get into the actual build, I would like to first show that I got the fork for the Impale, and our build has 1.1 million, 1.1 million per zombie DPS, which was similar to what we calculated in the Impale calculation, and now I do have my Fortify weapon, so PogChamp. If you want the fork, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Alright, so I would like to talk about the build as an overall concept before I get into the nitty-gritty, because I think that trying to show the whole build at once will be extremely confusing. So I'm going to highlight a few key things. The first one being, this has a quiver called Rear Guard. It gives us 24% chance to block and 15% chance to block spells. This is very important because we're trying to cap out our block. In our build, we were able to get 75 block and 74 spell block. This is incredible. Okay, how do we do it? This quiver, Rear Guard Broadhead Arrow Quiver. We have the Bone Offering skill, 21-23. So this gives 36% chance to block attack and spell damage. To make it affect you, you have to use Mistress of Sacrifice so that your Bone Offering affects you. We also have Rumi's Concoction to get another 20% chance to block and 10% chance to block spells. We also took, this is the core of the build, 6% chance to block spell damage over here with an extra 2% here. For our minions, we took Fortress Covenant, a Cobalt Jewel. This will make it so your minions have 12% chance to block attack and spell damage. We also allocate Decay Ward with our Anoint so that our minions have another 10% chance to block attack and spell damage and recover 2% of their life when they block. 2% of their life when they block is like 1600 life or something. It's quite a lot. And that's on top of gaining the 600 HP when you block with Bone Offering, because Bone Offering also has a recover 743 life when they block. Yep. Another funny thing I did to get more block was on the chest plate. You can get the mod now through the Hunter influence. It's called Increased Effect of Offering. So 25% increased effect of Bone Offering. And we also have the Helm Enchant. Bone Offering grants an additional 9% chance to block attack damage. So pretty much, if you notice, our block without roomies, 69. So we're over cap by a lot. That's how incredible this is. This is the highest block I've been able to do. And now, alright, now I need to emphasize these things that stand out for the build. So, the first thing being the quiver. Because we run a quiver, we can't run the mace or staff. We have to run a bow. So the bow I went with is +1 to strength gems, int gems, socketed gems. Socketed skills deal 20% more spell damage because this is, these are specters, and then +2 to level of socketed support gems. So I had two bows. There's this one with increased damage, avian and stuff. It's like most people would think of. This one is very similar, more damage, less life. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do there. Both are extremely good options, 10k more life or 30k more damage. Entirely up to you. I think the life one is better, so I went with the life one. Because I think that's going to be one of the things we struggle with, is our slave driver survivability in scaling. So again, you can't run a mace because we run a quiver. Second thing, because you have a bow, this is how it all domino effects from here. Because you have a bow, you can't run Cyclone. Because you can't run Cyclone, we go, well, what are we gonna do then? So I decided to do Purifying Flame. So we have this 6 link in our chest plate, Purifying Flame, and we have Awakened Curse on hit to apply 2 curses, Enfeeble and Conductivity. We have the faster casting and Awakened increased area of effect. So this is to apply 2 curses and also give us Consecrated Ground while also applying Elemental Equilibrium. This is huge. Okay. Purifying Flame with this, 2 curses. I decided to go an extra curse on the chest plate. And I also decided to go an extra curse on the skill tree. And I also decided to go an extra curse corruption on this amulet. So we can have 4 curses. So I went with Poacher's Mark on a ring so that when we curse the enemy will give our minions frenzy charges on hit. And then our last curse is through this glove, Ascendancy's Gentle Touch Silk Gloves. This is insane with all these curses. We're really trying to just brute force power through curses. So this applies temp chains, and then it says non-aura curses you inflict are not removed from dying enemies. So pretty much once you've targeted a big pack of monsters, and even if it keeps spawning and whatever, so a delve, they'll keep spawning into the curse, and everything around it gets infected, and so everything is just cursed and everything's exploding. And it even says enemies near corpses affected by your curses are blinded. Enemies killed near corpses affected by your curses explode, dealing 3% of their life as physical. So there's damage, clear speed, blind, and permanent curses in that area, basically. So that's insane to go along with the quad curse setup. All 4 curses should stay up and should keep exploding and should be semi-AFK once you've done it once. You can obviously keep spamming it, but this is to show the point. So yeah, we went for a quad curse setup. I definitely think that you don't have to do this. So the alternative is not wearing this glove, wearing a normal glove, not taking the curse on the skill tree, not taking the curse on the amulet. So you don't have 4 curses, you only have 1. You run like some regular curse on hit in corruption on the glove, and that's about it. You don't have to do all this curse setup, and then you can go for just a normal purifying flame and stuff. But I just figured if we were already purifying flaming and already activating things that isn't cyclone, and we're already accounting for possibly being way tankier than our other build, maybe we can actually tank hits and we can actually stand still. The next thing, I'd say the next biggest difference about this one compared to the other one is that I went for a bone helmet instead of the Baron. So I'll explain that part now because there will be a lot of questions. So to explain, the other alternative for this build would be the Baron. Strength stacking, you go with the other weapon and then you put zombies in it, and obviously it's not going to be as insane because you can't cyclone and stuff, so it's really awkward. The biggest problem is we're using Bone Offering, not Spirit Offering in this build. So the Spirit Offering is an energy shield scaling offering, and so the way I treat it is that the Baron, the Shaper's Touch, the Strength stacking is like the core of the Spirit Offering build. Without the Strength stacking, without the Shaper's Touch, the Spirit Offering is a lot worse, and we are a Bone Offering build, so therefore if we don't have Spirit Offering, I start to beg the question, like, do we really care about the Shaper's Touch then? And if we don't care about the Shaper's Touch, then do we even care about the Strength stacking for the Baron? Do we even need it? So then I raised a question of, how much does the Baron Leech actually give you? And it's like, the Leech can be 5% per source, but then it's only a cap of up to 10%. So when you have, like, 7k life, it's 700, but then usually it's, like, somehow giving you 1400 regen. I think if you add up your normal regen plus the leech, you get to like 1400. So I realized that if you could get to like 700 to 1400 regen in this build, you'd feel better than the Baron Leech, because the Baron Leech requires minions, monsters to leech off of, whereas regen just works. So that was my idea, was if we're taking a lot less damage. Oh, and we also have the recovery from Bone Offering. Whenever you block, you gain 743 life. It isn't exactly 743 because we have the Mistress of Sacrifice, which reduces the effect on us, but then we have the increased effect on us from the chest plate. So I overall don't know what that'll equate to. But I wanted to explain that this isn't a strength stacking build, so we don't run the Baron, and so we're not a zombie build, we're a Spectre build, and that's why we went for this helmet. So in this helmet, I socketed in Raise Zombie, Meat Shield, Elemental Army, and AG. Elemental Army will make exposure on the lightning, or at least should, hopefully. So like I said, there's many things going on here, but I like to break things down into packages. We have the block package, you have the Spectre package, which the Spectre package is +1 Spectre here. You get the Spectre level on the boots. Some people like to run Jinx Juju for Spectres. For the block thing, you need the Fortress Covenant and all the block stuff. For the minions, for Bone Offerings, so that they actually have their own block. I can show you here. If you show Spectres and you go to the resist, I have capped their resistances other than Chaos, which is fine. And you can also see where's the block. Here we go. 75 block and 67 spell block. This is pretty disgusting, right? So the only other thing you could do is get the spell block to cap, and that's really powerful. So your minions are going to be way tankier. Now I'll explain the other parts of the build that I haven't explained yet. So rings, Poacher's Mark, life, and other stats you can get. This was just stats you want. So life, reses, maybe minion damage, possible EE help. This EE help doesn't work because we're already using Purifying Flame, which already procs EE without needing any extra element. We just put my Warlord Headhunter into the build because there actually isn't a required belt in the build. So again, you can run 3 types of belts. A Headhunter, a normal belt that just has decent stats, or you can run a Stygian Vice to get an extra Ghastly Jewel out of your build. Then for boots, I went +1 life, 35% move speed, and a Craft of Cannot Be Frozen. That's what I'd recommend, because we're not going to be running Stampede boots with this build. We're not cycloning, so we will always use these boots, for example. And then for jewels, this isn't specifically required, because we have, in this build, we have Meat Shield on the zombies, so our zombies can taunt. So we already have taunt in the build, and we also have, there was one other thing. The blind is for free from the Ascendant's Gentle Touch if I'm using my Purifying Flame and cursing and stuff. But if I'm not, I also got a blind jewel, so minions have a chance to blind with attacks. These were just generic, decent minion chaos res and taunt jewels with damage and life. So they're just generically decent jewels, not required. But now I'll explain the Glorious Vanity Timeless Jewel. This was another major component of the build. Alright, so what we're going to do is take out this jewel and take out this jewel, and we're going to show off this Glorious Vanity. It's the exact one that's in the build on the POB. Okay, so Divine Flesh. This says, all damage taken bypasses Energy Shield. 50% of elemental damage taken is Chaos, 10% to max Chaos res. Remember this, okay? So we take Resolute Technique, but it turned into Divine Flesh. So the point of that is completely making your Energy Shield useless, meaning Spirit Offering is completely useless. Okay. So with that in mind, this is the perfect jewel for this build, because we're not running Spirit Offering finally. We're a Bone Offering build, so we can actually take advantage of a non-Spirit Offering build. So now just know that 50% of Elemental is converted to Chaos, and we have 85 Chaos. Instead of 75, this is 85, and then half of the LE turns into Chaos. So we're super tanky. And it should also be pointed out, we're we're a Spectre build, so we can run Unending Hunger to have the 50% chance to gain Soul Eater for 30 seconds on kill, which is super pog. So not only do we have Headhunter, we have the Unending Hunger, so we have the Headhunter Jewel for the Spectres. So our Spectres may say 325,000 DPS per, and there's 5 of them and shit. Nah, it might be even higher, and this is just like a rough draft of the build. So I mentioned Rumi's Concoction for the block. I didn't mention the other pots. So I still like to use the silver and the quicksilver because we have regular boots, so we're going to need to move fast. We could even put phase run in the build. And then, like, I'll show you where. If we, under this one, if we took out Convocation and said screw it, we could put phase run in here. We would need more dex. Our dex is messed up, but that's fine. We could take out the stone golem that I added for no reason and put in Convocation in there. If you do still care about Convocation, you could just say screw Convocation and just go something else. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and then I still take Basalt Flask to go with my Granite Flask with the Immune to Freeze with the increased duration, and then we run a Soul Ripper for our Val Molten Shell to not have a soul gain prevention. PogChamp, permanent Val Molten Shell. So I've explained every single part of the build, including the zombies, the Purifying Flame, the Bone Offering, the block, all that, all those components. Now we'll explain the auras. So the auras are kind of unique because of Spectres. So because we're slave drivers, the best 2 auras we can use are Zealotry and Wrath. These are 2 very powerful auras in a slave driver build. Pretty much the best 2 auras you can get. And Zealotry especially is an absolutely disgusting aura. So this also creates Consecrated Ground. It's stupid. It's so dumb. And then Wrath is more lightning. So huge damage. And the Consecrated Ground if you aren't Purifying Flaming and stuff. Another way to generate it, Zealotry, automatic. We use Soul of Lunaris, Soul of Shakari for poison immunity, and 5% reduced chaos damage taken. Since all of the damage we're taking is going to be chaos, or is half of it's going to be converted to chaos now, we want to take less of that, even more probably. Kill all the bandits. And now I'll explain the Spectre thing real quick. So the most important stuff is raise Spectre, obviously, 21-23. Feeding Frenzy, super important. Empower 4 for this weapon, or these 2 weapons I showed, because of all the +1s to the gems. You need an Empower in the link. And then these are the just best 3. So Elemental Army, super tanky. It helps for the resistances also. When you're actually trying to have your slave drivers be real units that don't die. And then the best 2 damage sources, Awaken Control Destruction, Awaken Minion Damage for our slave drivers. Super simple. That's the 6th link I recommend. And now this is the skill tree. So I'll try to explain it this way. I wanted this first Mystic Bulwark because I've already explained 8% chance to block spell damage on top of our build is super good because that's already the part we're missing, and it gets us closer to that 75. Took the life because life build, life and regen. We still come down here because we know that the res and the physical damage, like the armor, the physical damage reduction and the armor of the minions sucks, so this node is still insane. Instead of taking Sacrifice Wheel like our normal minion build, we came up to the Death Attunement, and the reason for that is in this build, Death Attunement is worth more than our normal build because the Spectre's a real unit. When we only have 4 Spectres and we add a 5th one with Death Attunement, that is a 25% increase in damage for just that one stat, not counting the attack and cast speed, not counting the extra zombie. Death Attunement is so broken in this build compared to 1 extra zombie when you have 14 is just not as good. Then we also can get the extra curse, which I've talked about because we're already up here. We get the increased area of effect for our minions on top of the Unending Hunger area of effect, so our Spectres should hopefully be going full screen and not staying next to us like dummies. I took the minion regen here. You don't need redemption. There was 3 extra points. Like, I could just do that, but I like those 3 points. I thought it was useful. We could potentially take this Sovereignty and take more auras. I thought of that. I took the life here, important. Like I said, this Glorious Vanity to change the Resolute technique into the special, thing, point. Then we get Grave Pack still. We get our whole big life wheel, res. Here we took this node for the Fortress Covenant because it's going to convert the nodes around it into bad things, and we don't want that. So we don't take any of these nodes. And then I came down, we got life and fire res, jewel, life and armor, all res, life, because overall our reses weren't capped, so you have to actually get better items than us. Like, these rings are not going to work. Maybe the jewels aren't going to work, right? Maybe you need different jewels. This is kind of just a shell to show you the overall build concept. I want to get the concepts across. I don't want you to copy the exact stat for stat on each item. It's more of, look at what the potential of each part of the build is, and independently, like how I was able to fit the impale stuff from everyone's physical damage build into my hatred build, and it's actually better. That's crazy to me that impale package is that good, right? So you can't actually run, this is the funny part, if anyone's wondering, you can't run the impale build in this because of the bone offering enchant on the helmet. So not only does this bone offering enchant on the helmet screw up our spirit offering, because we're running bone offering, we also screw up our impale build. So that's why we went specters of this version, to show off how OP specters are if you're not going to be doing the impale stuff, because zombies really do like the impale stuff. And then my final thing is for anyone who would like to make this as the zombie version. It's as simple as, you'd still run Bone Offering, you still run the Bone Offering enchant, so you'd run Baron with the Bone Offering enchant, and you'd still Strength stack. I just don't think you'd go Shaper's Touch and stuff. So the only difference is you try to get to 1,000 Strength with like jewels and items and stuff to get the Leech. So you still have the form of recovery that we had in our old build, but you wouldn't have the Spirit Offering. So you just would have to make sure that you maintain all the block stuff that we've added to the build, and still reach 1,000 Strength. And you can't Cyclone in this build. If you want to see the zombie version of the build with the Baron, leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope this could be helpful, or just honestly enjoyable for anyone who was interested in looking at a block version, or a version that doesn't use the Baron or doesn't Strength stack, or wants to go Spectres. This has covered all of those aspects. So this video is for anyone wanting to know about Spectres, the block version of the build, and the non-strength stacking. Here you go. Here's extremely high power level stuff to explain our build after the nerfs of 3.10 Kappa. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the people who financially support the channel, including my 52 subs on Twitch. Thank you, boys. Thank you, my Patreon supporters and YouTube members: Trinix, Hannah, Steven C, Lost Fable, Stacy U, Boggy, White Wolf, YouTube members: Garbar, Trinix, White Wolf, Arkmon, Kirby, John, The Lucha Lamproo, Dawid, Dubu, Goose Eggs, and Gabriel. Thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!